I'll seek you out, flay you alive.
Hey guys, Pogo here, and welcome to the last episode of the BungeeCord miniseries. In this episode, I'm just going to show you how the BungeeCord event system works. Once we get into it, you'll notice that it's almost identical. In fact, it really is pretty much identical to the Bukkit event system, but I just wanted to show it to you and then also go over all the different events because, again, since we're not using the Bukkit events, we're using the BungeeCord events, there are different events and different event names. So I guess let's first start out. If we head on over to, this is the Java docs for BungeeCord, and right now I'm in the event package, the this API, and then the event package, and then right here where it says class summary, this is a list of all of the different classes, and these are the different events that are given to us by BungeeCord. So I'm going to quickly go through and briefly explain each one, even though the description does a pretty good job of explaining everything. But then we're just going to do a very, very simple example, which is where when a player logs in, when they join any server, it'll send them a message reminding them that if they want to talk to someone on a different server, then they have to use the BPM or BungeePM command in order to do it. It's just a very simple example, but you know, you can just interchange it with any of the other events. So first is async event, which is not an actual event, it's just a superclass for other events, so you can ignore that one. Chat event is when, obviously, a player sends a message to a server. The login event, or, no, I'm sorry, chat event and login event, I believe, are also just superclasses. If we take a look, that they might be superclasses or they might not be. Because there is like a post-login event and a pre-login event, but those seem to be separate, so I guess it is different. There's a permission check event, which is when a permission is checked, so if you do has permission, which you can do, they're for BungeeCord permissions, but you can call has permission, and then that's a permission check. Player disconnect event, player handshake event, that's when a player first attempts to connect, and the handshake, the digital handshake, is basically when a client tries to connect to a server, they have to share a little bit of information. The client has to give their information, then the server has to give their information, and then a little bit more happens. So the handshake is when it's first starting. So a plugin message event is called when a plugin message is sent to the client or server. I believe that would be for like in the Bukkit plugins, when we use the plugin messaging channel, that's probably what it's for. Pre-login event is obviously when the player is first asking. I don't know if that happens before or after the handshake event, but it's somewhere around there. The post-login event, which is one that we're going to use, is after the player has taken care of logging in, and that's the equivalent of the player join event in Bukkit. Sorry, hang on one second. Sorry about that. So the post-login event, which is one that we're going to use, that's the player join event in Bukkit. Proxy ping event is when the proxy is pinged. So this 0xFE packet, you might recognize that, or it's not a packet, but this right here, if you remember, we actually sent that in the server signs or the Bukkit episode with getting server information. We sent that packet, and then the server sent back all of its information. So I guess this proxy ping event would be called when this message 0xFE is received. Proxy reload event is just if it's reloaded. Server connected event, and you'll see it's called once a connection to a server is fully operational and is about to hand over control of the session of a player. So I think that when the player first connects and it's handled through the through BungeeCord, then BungeeCord says, okay, I'm going to send you to this server, and then this event is called once the server is about to take control of the player from the BungeeCord proxy, I believe. Server connect event, it doesn't have a description. I believe that's probably like if you start a Bukkit or Spigot server and then it connects, but I'm not sure. Server disconnect event, Probably the opposite of server connect event. I'm not completely sure. Server kick event is when a player is kicked from a server. Server switch event is if you change servers. I suppose like using the server command. If you're moving from one to another, then that would be called. Tab complete event is just whenever tab completion is used. And then targeted event occurs a communication between two nodes, and that's just a superclass for chat event, plugin message event, and tab complete event, so you don't need to worry about that one. So those are all of the different events, and the one that we're going to be using is the post login event because it's the equivalent of the player join event, and then that's where we can actually send the message. So the first thing, and this part is going to be pretty much exactly like Bukkit, we first need to implement the listener interface, the marker interface. Then we're going to go ahead and say proxy server.getInstance.getPluginManager.register listener this comma this. And you would recognize this from Bukkit, where you would do bukkit.getServer.getPluginManager.register events, just is register listener. It's the exact same thing. Now here's another similar part. At event handler, the event handler annotation, public void on post login, and it's a post login event e. So that part should look the exact same as Bukkit. And then if we take a look in e, the only method about which you would really care in here is get player, but obviously that's all we need is to get the player who just finished logging in. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll send them a message, and this is going to be a text component. And we're going to say chatcolor.gold, and then we're going to say if you want to chat with a player on another server, use /bpm. Go ahead and import the correct text component, and that's not actually an error, it's just says it's an error, but there we go. Okay, so we registered the listener, and then we have an actual listener here for the post login event. And this is just added to the BungeePM plugin that we already made. So if you don't have this code already, you'll want to watch the, I think it's the previous episode where we make this. Let's go ahead and export this. Remember, we're exporting it to the BungeeCord server in the modules folder, as I mentioned in the previous episode. And I actually already have servers A and B running. So I'm going to go ahead, I don't think you can reload. I'll just go ahead and end the BungeeCord server, and then I will start it again. Okay, so that should only take a second, and it loaded, and it enabled my plugin, and now it's listening. So let's head on over to Minecraft and take a look. So I'll now go ahead and enter into BungeeCord, and turn that off. Okay. And now, as you can see, when I joined, it says, if you want to chat with a player on another server, use /bpm. And you'll notice that that was done through the BungeeCord event system rather than the Bukkit event system or the Spigot event system, you know, which is interesting. So we did not use Bukkit at all, and it still worked. Now let's go over to server A, and okay, so let me disconnect, and now if I reconnect, it should put me on server A, and it gives me that message. So the first time I connect, it gives me that message. You could also listen for, I think it's the server change event, the server switch event. If you can listen for that event, that's called when a player has changed servers, then you could also send the message. But right now, it sends the message the first time a player logs in. And as you can see, I logged into server B, and it sent me the message. Then I went to server A and relogged, and then when I logged into server A, it also sent the message because it's being sent on the proxy, so it'll go to all of the servers automatically because it's running on the proxy and not on Bukkit or Spigot. So that's all for this concluding episode. I just, you know, the event system in BungeeCord is important. And I didn't want to end without showing it because it can be very, very helpful to have events that run on the proxy instead, because you have a little bit more power and you can, you know, do some special BungeeCord related things that you might not otherwise be able to do. So So as always, subscribe if you want to see more. Comment with what you want to learn. If you like this video, and also if you like the BungeeCord mini-series, click the like button. I'll see you guys soon with some more coding videos. Bye for now.